Habakkuk chapter 1, Burden for Justice in Judah. The oracle that Habakkuk the prophet saw. How long, Adonai, have I cried for help, yet you do not hear? I cry out to you, violence, yet you do not deliver. Why do you show me wickedness, and why must I behold mischief? Yes, devastation and violence are before me. There is strife and contentions arise. Therefore Torah has no effect, and justice never goes forth. For the wicked encircle the righteous, therefore justice comes out perverted. Adonai's answer, Chaldeans. Look among the nations, observe, astonish yourself, be astounded, for work is being done in your days. For you will believe it if you will not believe it if it were told. For I am about to raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter, impetuous nation, marching all over the land to seize dwellings not its own. Dreadful and terrifying, its justice and dignity derive from itself. Its horses are swifter than leopards, fiercer than wolves at dusk. Its horsemen come galloping. Its horsemen are coming from afar. They fly like a vulture, swooping down to eat. All of them come for violence, and assembling of faces to the east. He gathers captives like sand. He scoffs at kings, and rulers are a joke to him. He laughs at every stronghold. He heaps up dirt and takes it. Then a wind sweeps through and passes on. He is guilty. This, his strength, is his God. Appeal for justice on Chaldea. Are you not from antiquity, Adonai, my God, my Holy One? We will not die. Adonai, you have ordained him for judgment, as you, O rock, have established him to chasten. With eyes too pure to see evil, you cannot look at such trouble. Why do you look at the treacherous? Why do you remain silent when a wicked one swallows up those more righteous than him? You made man like the fish of the sea, like a creeping thing, with no one ruling over him. He brings up all with hook and jaw, drags away in his dragnet, or gathers with his fishing net. Therefore he rejoices with glee. Therefore he sacrifices his dragnet and offers incense to his fishing net. For through them his portion is rich and his food abundant. Thank you, Michael. Will he empty his nest for this reason, continually slaying nations with no compassion? Habakkuk chapter 2. I will take my stand at my post and nations myself on the rampart, and I will watch to see what he will say to me, and what I will answer regarding my argument. Vision for appointed time. Then Adonai answered me and said, Write down the vision and make it plain on the tablet so that the reader may run with it, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens to the end and will not fail. If it should be slow in coming, wait for it, for it will surely come, it will not delay. Trust judgment and glory. Behold, the puffed up one, his soul is not right within him, but the righteous will live by his trust. Indeed, because the swine betrays, a proud man never rests. He enlarges his desire like Sheol, like death he is never satisfied. So he gathers to himself all nations and collects all people for himself. Will not all take up a proverb against him, or scornful riddle about him? Oi to the one expanding what isn't his. How long? Oi to the one burdening himself with heavy debts. Will biting you arise suddenly, and those shaking you awaken, as you will become plunder for them? Since you looted many nations, all the survivors will plunder you because of human bloodshed and violence done to the land, the city, and all its inhabitants. Oi to the one surely getting unjust gain for his house, to set his nest on high, to escape the reach of calamity. You scheme shame for your house by cutting off many peoples, so going wrong yourself. For a stone will cry out from a wall, and wooden beams will answer. Oi to him who establishes a city by bloodshed and establishes a town with injustice. Behold, is it not from Adonai Zavat that people toil to fuel a fire and nations exhaust themselves for emptiness? For the earth will be filled with knowing the glory of Adonai as the waters cover the sea. Oi to the one who makes his neighbor drink, who pours out your fury, and even making him drunk in order to gaze at his nakedness. You are filled with disgrace rather than glory. Drink you too and be uncircumcised. The cup of Adonai's right hand will surround you, and disgrace will come upon your glory. For the violence done to Lebanon will spread over you, destruction of beasts terrifying them, because of human bloodshed and violence done to the land, the city to all its inhabitants. What use is an idol when its craftsman has carved it, or a metal image, a teacher of lies? For a craftsman has trusted in the image that he created to make dumb idols. Oi to the one who says to wood, awake, to a dumb stone, rouse yourself. Can it teach? Look, it is plated with gold and silver, but it has no spirit within it. But Adonai is his holy temple. Let all the land be silent before him. Habakkuk's confidence in Adonai, chapter 3. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet as a passionate song. Adonai, I have heard the report about you, and I have come to fear. Adonai, revive your work throughout the years, make it known. In wrath, remember compassion. God comes from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Selah, his majesty covers the heavens, and his praise fills the earth with brilliance like light. Rays emanate from his hand. There his power was hidden. Pestilence goes before him. A fiery bolt goes forth at his feet. He stood, and the earth shook. He looked and startled nations. Ancient mountains were shattered. Hills of antiquity sank down. His ways are everlasting. I saw tents of Cushan under calamity. The curtains of the land of Midian are trembling. Adonai, is your wrath against rivers, or your anger at the rivers, or your fury with the sea? For you ride on your horses, your chariots of salvation, your bowls laid bare. Sworn are rods, a decree. Selah, you cleave the land with rivers. The mountains saw you and ride. The downpour of water overflows. The deep gives its voice, it lifts hands high. Sun and moon stand in lofty abode. At the flash of your arrows they go, at the radiance of the lightning of your spear. With indignation you pace the land, with anger you thresh nations. You went out for the salvation of your people, for the deliverance of your anointed one. You shatter the head of the house of the wicked, to lay it bare from foundation up to the top. Selah. You have pierced his chief rulers with his own staff. They stormed in to scatter me. Their exultation is like devouring the weak in secret. You marched forth, your horses in the sea, much water foaming. I heard and my belly trembled. My lips quivered at the sound. Decay comes into my bones. I tremble where I stand, since I must wait quietly for a day of distress to come up against the people who will invade us. Though the fig tree does not blossom, and there is no yield on the vines, though the olive crop fail, and the fields produce no food, the flock is cut off from the folds, there is no cattle in the stalls, yet I will triumph in Adonai. I will rejoice in the God of my salvation. Adonai, my Lord, is my strength. He has made my feet like a deer's and will make me walk on my high places. For the choir director, O my stringed instruments. Zephaniah chapter 1. Hand of judgment upon idolaters. The word of Adonai that came to Zephaniah, son of Cushi, son of Gedaliah, son of Amariah, son of Hezekiah, in the days of Josiah, son of Ammon, king of Judah. I will totally sweep away everything from the face of the earth, declares Adonai. I will sweep away man and beast. I will sweep away the birds of the sky and the fish of the sea. Also the stumbling blocks, the wicked. I will cut off mankind from the face of the earth, declares Adonai. I will stretch out my hand upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. I will cut off the remnant of Baal from this place, the names of the idolatrous priests along with Kohanim, those bowing down on the roofs to the host of the heavens, these bowing down, swearing to Adonai, and also swearing by Molech, those turning from following Adonai, not seeking Adonai or consulting him. The day is at hand. Be silent before Adonai God, for the day of Adonai is at hand. Adonai has prepared a sacrifice. He has consecrated his guests. On the days of Adonai's sacrifice, I will punish the princes, the king's son, and all who dress in foreign attire. And that day I will punish all who skip over the threshold while filling their master's house with voices, violence, and deceit. And that day, declares Adonai, there will be the sound of screaming from the fish gate, wailing from the second district, and a loud crash from the heights. Howl, inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the people of Canaan are destroyed. All who weigh out silver are cut off. At that time I will search Jerusalem with lamps, and punish the men whose spirits have hardened, who say in their hearts, Adonai will do neither good nor evil. Their wealth will become plunder, their houses a ruin. They will build houses but not live in them. They will plant vineyards but not drink their wine. The day of Adonai is near. The great day of Adonai is near and coming very quickly. The sound of the day of Adonai is bitter. The shouting of the warrior is there. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of devastating storm and desolation, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of shofar and alarm against the fortified cities, against the high corner towers. I'll bring such distress upon mankind that they will walk like the blind, for they have sinned against Adonai. Their blood will be poured out like dust and their flesh like dung. Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to rescue them on the day of Adonai's wrath with fire of his passion. The entire earth will be consumed, for he will make a total dreadful annihilation of all the inhabitants of the earth. Zephaniah chapter 2. Judgment of nearby nations. Gather together, O shameless nation, before the decree is brought forth, before the day passes away like chaff, before Adonai's burning anger comes upon you, before the day of Adonai's anger comes upon you. Seek Adonai, all you humble of the land who have executed his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. Perhaps you will be hidden on the day of Adonai's wrath, for Gaza will be abandoned, for Ashkelon will be a wasteland, Ashdod will be driven out at noon, and Ekron will be uprooted. Oi to the inhabitants of the sea coast, the nation of the Cherethites, the word of Adonai is against you. Canaan, land of the Philistines, and I will destroy you until there is no inhabitant. The seacoast will become pastures with meadows for shepherds and folds for flocks. The coast will belong to the remnant of the house of Judah, upon which they will gaze. In the houses of Ashkelon they will die down in the evening, for Adonai their God will visit them and return them from captivity. I have heard the taunts of Moab and the jeers of the children of Ammon, who taunted my people and expanded on their border. Therefore, as I live, declares Adonai Zavad, God of Israel, Moab will be like Sodom, and Ammon like Gomorrah, a possession of weeds and a salt pit, a perpetual wasteland. The remainder of my people will plunder them. The remnant of my nation will dispossess them. This is what they will get for their pride, for they have taunted and expanded against the people of Adonai Zavat. Adonai will be fearsome against them, for all the gods of the earth he will make waste away. To him will bow, each from its place, the islands of the nations. You Ethiopians too will be slain by my word. He will stretch out his hand against the north and devastate Assyria, and make Nineveh as a wasteland, dry as a desert. Flocks will lie down in her midst, all kinds of beasts. Both the little owl and the great owl will lodge in her pillows. A voice will hoot in the window. Ruin will be in the doorway, for the cedar beams will be exposed. This is the exultant city, dwelling securely, saying in her heart, "It's me, no one else but me." How did she become a ruin, an abode for wild beasts? Everyone who passes by her hisses and shakes his fist.